And we're live. Hello.
Hi, we're live.
Looks like it.
Hey, Chloe.
Hey, Matt.
I'm in sunny Montreal. Yeah, and Chloe's in sunny Barcelona. We're live now. Everybody's joining in, hopefully. Yeah. All right.
Oh.
So today we're going to be talking about my book, Nomad, which is free today. If everybody goes on Amazon, I've actually got it for the next couple of days. It's completely free. So if you want to download a copy on there, yeah, you can go ahead and do that.
Nice. Brian Freeman says, good morning, and he loves your hat, Matt.
Yes, Nomad hat. Maybe I'll give away some of these too.
Yeah, I'll just mention that everyone who's joining in, it looks like we've got about 20 people online so far. Awesome. Welcome. If you want to put where you're from in the comments or any questions you have for Matt, we're going to be giving away a paperback version of Nomad at the 5-minute and 10-minute mark, and then a signed copy at the 15-minute mark to everyone who likes, comments, or shares. And then everyone can go download a free copy from Amazon.
All right, cool. And I'll just mention I'm off. I was in, well, I'm going to mention I was in Hawaii last month, but I'm off canoe camping today. So as soon as we finish this, I'm going off into the wild. So if you never hear from me again, maybe this will be a famous interview. You never know. You never know what's going to happen.
You never know.
Maybe I'm jinxing myself. Oh my God. What have I done? All right. So do you want to, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if anyone has questions for Matt, put them into the comments below, and I'll just kick it off. And do you want to just tell me a little bit about Nomad and what inspired you to write it?
Yeah, well, Nomad is, well, there's two things that made me want to write Nomad. One was that I'd done a book, Cyberstorm, which was kind of apocalyptic, but not full on apocalyptic. And I was really interested in the genre. So I wanted to do a series that was full on apocalyptic, like where I literally destroyed the entire planet Earth. And I kind of won up that game because I destroyed the entire solar system in the process of doing that. And using this massive deep space anomaly, which I won't give it away in case somebody's going to download the free copy of Nomad right now on Amazon, which you can go and pick up. But I was really interested in doing a full, but doing a scientific based one. And so I consulted with a lot of astrophysicists when I was developing the plot for that, and I made it actually consistent. So while I destroy the entire solar system and I wreck much of the Earth, I still make sure that some people can live through it, because not much of an apocalyptic story if we kill every human being. You have to leave a couple over so that you can actually have a story and make it into a human story. Otherwise, it would be kind of a sad ending. Yeah. So there are people that live through it and then go on a giant adventure, and then the Earth gets reshaped and reformed. And as I said, I consulted with a lot of astrophysicists when I was doing it, and some of them were actually at the Mauna Kea Observatory, which I had the chance to actually visit. I don't know if I have pictures. I have a picture on my phone, maybe. Oh, there's a picture. There's me on top of. Oh, darn it. Anyway, that was a picture.
You can post it in the comments after.
I know. That was a picture of me at top of Mauna Kea last about 3 weeks ago. I went up there and visited some of the observatories. So that was a real sort of coming around full circle and made me think a lot about Nomad and the events. It actually inspired me for writing a news story that I've got about that. And the second thing that I was really interested in when I wrote Nomad was the idea that we are constantly, well, I think we have this impression that sort of the Earth and the solar system, that back when they had the idea that the Earth was the center of the universe, that we thought that, we didn't really mix with anything else. So then we have this heliocentric version of it, but we still had this sort of impression that we're separate from the rest of the interstellar environment. And then I was reading that 70,000 years ago, you had this thing called Schultz's star, which has brush by, came right into out. So, and that was 70,000 years ago. So Neanderthals and our relatively recent ancestors saw this great big red star, which was actually in the sky and had a very close brush by with the Earth. And so when you go and read more about this, we actually see that every 100,000 years or so, the Earth is actually having a close brush by with other stars, and other stars are constantly brushing by us. And so it's this constant mixing with the interstellar medium, and that was really the sort of the second inspiration for it, was to explore some of those ideas that were not separate from the interstellar medium, and then sort of work that into this apocalyptic novel. Yeah. So that was kind of, those are the two inspirations for it.
And who was the most interesting person that you talked to when you were doing research?
Actually, I talked to Seth Shostak, who is the one of the prime researchers at SETI, which is a search for extraterrestrial intelligence. And Seth actually was very helpful in well, there's a lot of interesting things that you can talk about with the SETI researcher, and that's another thing that I'm really interested in when writing fiction, is talking with people who are actually out doing those things and talking about the things that they're interested in, and then writing novels based on some of the things that they think about, or the fantastical things that could be possible that come out of that. Yeah.
So we just hit the 6-minute mark, actually. And right. I've chosen a winner, Grant Crocker in Vancouver, BC. You've won a paperback copy of Nomad.
I'll send you this one. Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in. Everyone else, we're going to be giving away 2 more copies. So if you get your comments, questions, likes, and shares on this post, you'll be entered to win. Lynn Wilson-Wyke says, greeting from Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Hello. And Norma Carroll wants to know, can you describe your writing process? Do you do a detailed plot, or do you just start writing?
Well, there are 2 different types of writers in the world, from what I understand. They're the pantsers and they're the architects, and I'm definitely on the architect side, probably due to my engineering background. I sit down and painfully plot out, the whole arc of the story, including the set points for it. That being said, when you're actually writing the story, you want to give your characters agency, which is like have them act and react in ways that you want to sort of set them up in the world, and then I let them loose, and then they run around, and that inevitably ends up changing some of the story and some of the plot points, and some of the, it actually come up with some really exciting stuff that you never really thought about when you're actually plotting it out. But still, there's still kind of these tent poles that I put up for the story, like the starting up, and then you got to have sort of the structure above it, and then I let the characters run around under that tent that we create for them. So that's kind of my process. Yeah.
Vaughn Kramer says, you say physics. Is that the demise, or is it a product of biology? Without a spoiler.
No, it's not. It's not biologically. It's not a biologically based apocalyptic story. So it's not a pandemic or something. Although there are some elements of biology that come into it because of the without giving away too many spoilers, the type of event that happens ends up showering down quite a lot of radiation onto the Earth. So any poor human beings that were stuck on the surface have some unfortunate effects. And it's not the standard sort of radiation, actually. It's a different form of radiation, which also I went and looked up, which is quite unpleasant for most of the people on Earth, but not for our main characters who survive through it.
Donna's joining in, and she says, yay, Matthew, one of my favorite authors of all time.
Hey, thank you very much.
And Gary,
good.
Yeah, that's so nice of you to say, Donna. Gary Jones asks, where was the strangest place that you came up with an idea for a story?
Well, I mean, it was actually, talking about going to Mauna Kea, when I was on top of the observatory, I actually had an idea for a story that tied together some Wild West era cowboys and some researchers working at Mauna Kea, and I think I talked about this before, but that's one that stands out in my mind as being kind of unusual in an unusual place. Yeah, you'd be surprised, actually. A lot of ideas come in the shower. I don't know what it is about hot water, standing around soaping yourself up. I don't want to get too weird here, but there's something about showers that is very conducive to deep thought. I think anybody who does a lot of creative work should probably have like 3 showers a day just to get all those ideas flowing. There's a pun in there. very loose, thinly veiled one.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
especially when you live in Canada and you've got the majority of the world's fresh water to shower yourself with.
Actually, I mean, right now I live on Montreal Island, which has literally all of the water that comes from the Great Lakes, which is about half of the catchment basin of North America. So we have an almost endless supply of fresh water. So showering is not a problem. I don't know how we got on this. Let's move on.
Jim Young says, love the Nomad series. Great job.
Thank you.
And we've hit the 10-minute mark. So Mary Polk Powers, congratulations. You have won the second paperback copy of Nomad. And we'll be giving...
Yeah, we're sending it away, yeah. Well, we'll get all the details. No, Chloe, you'll get all the details.
I'll get the details.
I just want to mention that Nomad is free on Amazon right now. So anybody who's watching this and anybody who's watching the next couple of days, that's going to be free up until May 12th, I think. So go on Amazon and grab a copy completely free and get into the series. It's a 4-book series about the destruction of Earth, and it's kind of its rebirth. So,
and we'll be giving away one more signed copy in 5 minutes before Matt has to take off. So get your last comments and likes, and you'll be entered to win. And well, Donna wants to know: is there a sequel?
Is there a sequel to the Nomad series?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is a sequel. If you've read to the end of the Nomad series, I actually end up with the characters in a very unusual position, which sets it up for a continuation. But I think I need a couple of years off the Nomad series to explore some other stuff, and then I think I'll revisit it. It would be a truly post-apocalyptic and a new world that they would be returning to, without sounding too cryptic. But yeah, the idea was I left them in a position where, but the characters, when I revisit the story, would probably be like 60 or 70 years later. So there's a couple of characters in the book that are children, and so the idea is I would revisit this series when most of the main characters are already passed on, and then the children that were in the book actually become adults and sort of continue on with the mystery and with the adventure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And for anyone who's joining in, who's on Matt's mailing list, you mentioned that you just finished the first draft on the screenplay. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that's very exciting. I'm actually just sending that off today. So usually I say that I very cryptically that I can't mention the names of the people I'm working with, but today I actually can name names, which is exciting.
Yay.
So most of my books actually being optioned for film and TV by people like NBC, Universal, and 20th Century Fox, and ITV among them. But with this one, I actually went and working directly with a screenwriter and a producer, working with a screenwriter called Tom Richardson, who's a screenwriter who's got dozens of TV, cable, specials and films, series under his belt, and then with the director Christian Duguay, who's actually doing the Medici series, which some of you may be familiar with. He's actually filming it right now in Italy, but I'm working with those two to bring a TV. So we just finished the first draft of a TV script for the Nomad series, which we're looking to bring to TV and go out and find a cable network or Netflix or something like that to bring it to. But right now I've got that nailed down with me as a producer and a screenwriter, and then a director already attached to it. So that's really exciting. Hopefully this time I'll be able to get it past, get it through that last mile and actually get a project happening.
Is this the furthest you've taken a made for a television or film project to this point?
I don't know if it's hard to say. I mean, with Cyberstorm actually as being also licensed by a screenwriter, a director duo, and I don't know the extent that they've, and it's been also licensed by, I've had books licensed by other production companies, and they seem to have taken it to some lengths, but I've never really been involved right down to the sort of getting right down in the weeds. So this time I decided to actually get involved in the process myself and help write the drafts and get involved in the pitching of it, and to actually try and get something going. And it's really exciting. It's fun because in a book you have kind of a one version of being able to tell a story, but in a TV series where you have 13 episodes, we have a lot more opportunity to do character development of some of the secondary characters, and then to bring stuff forward from, like the fourth book. We can sort of preview some of that, and so we're actually taking the 4 books and doing it as a 4-season series. So there's a lot more scope to explore some of the secondary themes and secondary characters, and it's really fun. And it's also, yeah, I mean, and when I wrote the book, there was kind of a romance angle inside of that, which I'm kind of ham-fisted at doing, but I think was a lot more fun to explore when we're actually doing a TV series. So yeah, really excited about it. Just very cool, and really excited about moving that process forward.
Awesome. Yeah. And Van Kramer wants to know if you see yourself directing eventually.
No.
Steve says it's gonna get signed, it's gonna get made.
All right.
Gary says thanks for the free Amazon copy of Nomad. Next book on my reading list.
Yeah. All right. So we got the 15-minute mark yet?
We got 15. And Matt has to take off, so we'll go when you get back from your camping trip. Maybe you can answer some of the other questions that have come in.
I can pick one. We'll answer one more, and then we'll get on to the giving away of the free book. So, and more comments right now.
Yeah, get them in. You have last. Shane wants to know, what software do you write on? Anything special?
For writing, book writing, I write on Scrivener. I use Scrivener as a tool for writing, and then once I get up to a certain level of finishedness in the manuscript, I switch to Word, which I just find easier for sort of finalizing a version of that. And then I've got there's a few tools for actually creating the ebooks, but then I usually send them over to professional formatting, which is not that expensive, and is they do a better job than I can do myself. So that's pretty much the whole ebook process.
And Mike Crow wants to know, I love how accurate and realistic your cybersecurity storylines are. Do you have any new cyber security-based stories in the works?
I do, actually. I've got kind of a sequel to Cyberstorm in the works, which would be more of a full-on cyber war type thing. I've got a whole storyline that I've developed for that, but yeah. It's amazing. Cyberstorm, it just keeps. I've got I still have 2 more requests for cybersecurity conferences where they want me to come and to sign books of Cyberstorm. And I was just at RSA, which is the biggest cybersecurity conference, and they had a company invited me to go down there and sign books. So that book just keeps on going and going. And I thought when I wrote it, it was very topical for the time, but cybersecurity and cyber attacks goes on, and it's really become, I think, I don't know if landmark is the right word, but it's become a relatively important book in that space, talking about cybersecurity and what the effects of a cyber attack could be on a population. Yeah.
On a different note, Steve wants to know how your new dog is.
My new dog, Sparky. Yeah, he's good. He's a handful. He's a rescue dog. He's a Springer Spaniel we picked up from the pound, and so he's a bit of a handful. We don't really know how old he is. I think he's about 2 from the way that he's been chewing all of my shoes. So.
Oh no.
Dog. What are you gonna do? Yeah. All right.
Couple more questions, or do you have to go?
One more question. Go on.
One more question. Okay, this is a good one. Andrea wants to know, speaking of cybersecurity, are we endangered by watching this on Facebook?
Well, I mean, there's a line from Cyberstorm where I say, if you don't pay for a product, you are the product. And so when we say that Facebook is stealing all of our private information, I think we're
Matt,
we're all kind of complicit. Kind of retail versus that we spend hours and hours a day using. So they make some of the money through advertising, but then they're making some of their money through aggregated personal information. I do think that it's the time right now to. We don't really know how much that is worth, and I don't think people understand the extent to which that information compromises our privacy and a whole bunch of, civil liberties. And there's a lot of stuff there that we need to unpack. And I think it's the right time to start doing that. And maybe we need to start paying for some of those services as opposed to just getting them for free or some other business model, which may change it. I do think that ultimately things like social media should be sort of a free, interchangeable app and not tied to one platform. I think that's something that may happen in the future. But I mean, it's sort of when I see that Facebook has all of our information and is using that in a dishonest kind of way. It's also it's sort of like when Snowden revealed that the U.S. government is listening to all of our private conversations. It's sort of like, oh really? And oh yeah, I kind of already knew all that, so it's not really that surprising. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
Good question. So we have one more winner of the signed copy of Nomad. And
this is actually the signed copy. I'm sign it right now for whoever the winner is.
Awesome. And that is Donna Connery.
Donna Connery. Hey, I know Donna actually.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Cool. I think so. Anyway.
And everyone, so just to let you know, you hit the new DSF record of simultaneous viewers. 37 simultaneous viewers. Daniel Aronson had the record last week with 33, so congratulations.
Hey, go team Matt.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks everyone for joining.
Yeah, and get your free copy of Nomad on Amazon right now. And thanks everybody for joining, and I'm off into the woods.
Thanks, Matt. Enjoy your camping trip.
Bye.